Howdy, y'all. It is Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. So we got done with the original Batman movies, and we moved into Christopher Nolan Batman films, and we have watched all the way through Batman Begins. Wow. So I'd forgotten how good of a film that really was, right? It sets up so much of a great story. You know, it's got the tropes of at a theater, and this time it's actually like a singing performance of opera of some sort. And parents die, in the alley. Everything's, it's there. But there's a really good thing of, we know Batman at some point gets trained, but this actually does a great job of connecting Batman training with Ra's al Ghul. Really cool, really interesting. Now they take all the full-on mysticism out of it, okay? And that really changes things, and it's not for the worse at all, actually, because the mysticism could still be there that they just haven't addressed, but yet it's fun because this is supposed to be a more grounded, simple world, and that's what's fun about it, because it's grittier, because it's more of what if Batman were actually real, and what would it take? And that's what I love. As you watch the rest of these movies, you see, okay, this is Batman in a world where punching a person actually hurts, and getting into a fight with swords is going to actually have very serious ramifications for the person. So what's the point here? Well, clearly it's going to have some serious ramifications for just storyline. But what's really interesting to it is just how real it feels, because we see, this will be full of spoilers, obviously. If you haven't seen it by this point, go watch it. It's so good. We see Bruce Wayne hiding away from the world, because what's the point? He's gotten to this point in his life where he decided it's all just a big joke, and he wants to really see what a criminal really is. Why would a criminal do the things that they did, like to his parents? And it's interesting because that's where Ra's al Ghul finds him, and in the movie it's not revealed too much later that Liam Neeson is in the thing, and there's definitely a character that looks like he would make a perfect Ra's al Ghul, if you will, of Asian descent, and it's played as a very fascinating, wonderful concept of deception is key, because that's set up inside of the League of Shadows. That deception and this idea of controlling what people are thinking about and looking at has a really big impact. And then, lo and behold, Ra's al Ghul himself is actually doing that very thing and hiding his true self in order to, one, for protection, but also just to be more hands-on without making it look like the leader of the group is hands-on at all times. It's kind of interesting. I just found it really fascinating. Christopher Nolan just does a fantastic job with story, with music, with just making sure you feel like you are in the moment. Liam Neeson knocks it out of the park. The guy that they have that plays as though he's Ra's al Ghul is fantastic as well, just by the stoicness, the character type you expect him to be. It's fantastic. Alfred is fantastic. Can't ever remember that actor's name, and he's a great actor, an older actor. Fantastic in this, and he's great throughout all of them. Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne and Batman. I think he does one of the best of both sides of it. A good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman. When somebody goes, man, I really like the new Robert Pattinson movie, it's not that it's bad, it's just you need to go back and you need to watch Batman Begins and The Dark Knight at the very least, right? Because that just gives you the perfect, or the closest we've ever gotten to good Bruce Wayne and good Batman, like awesome on both sides of it, closest we've gotten, because often we get good in one sense and then not on the other side. Because it is hard to pull off this idea of dark and brooding one second and then the billionaire playboy the next. It's just challenging. So, just, man, Christian Bale knocks it out of the park. He does a great Bruce Wayne. Honestly, him being really grovelly and yelling, my daughter noticed that right away. Why does he sound like that? And it was funny because that's true. But when we first watched it, for me, like, it wasn't a thing that we were thinking about, because it was just like, oh, changing voice just to make sure you can't tell who Batman is. Smart. It's good. And it, man, and the fact that they went with, Cillian Murphy or Cillian Murphy, I don't know how they say his name, but love him in this film. And I love that he just kind of is present throughout this trilogy as kind of a minor villain to an extent, but it's great because Scarecrow is just such a, how do you make that kind of villain into a grittier world? Well, you just play him as, he wears this mask just to get some kicks off the fact that people that he sprays with his fear toxin that just makes your fear response go through the roof. He just likes messing with people. And it's like, man, that's psychotic. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Great stuff. Also, Gordon, that actor, so good. So good. And I love it so much. Fantastic. Man, I don't want to give a whole lot away except for the fact that it's been out for a long time, and I already have some of it, but it's just, this is one of the best explanations for Batman going, how do I become Batman? Like, why? And it really just comes down to deception is key, and making a symbol that people talk about, that they remember. And it's just so good in that. And that's, I think, what's funny is this movie is about Batman. And what's funny is about the second one, it's more about, in ways, the villain. We'll talk about that later. But this is so good. The characters, the cast are fantastic here. And they're everything that is needed to hit this home run out of the park. Right? Just knock it out of the park. Because you've got Batman not always doing things perfectly. Like, there's a moment where he gets almost completely and entirely wrecked by Scarecrow, and it's fascinating. Oh, and Lucius Fox. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the actor's name, and I love him as an actor. He's so good at stuff, but him as Lucius Fox, so good, and he plays it so well. Like, he played in Bruce Almighty as God in that film. Cannot remember his name. It's gonna hit me again later. It's like Christopher Walken from the Batman movie with Penguin. Finally remembered his name a few hours after the video. But so good. And the way he plays off, like, oh yeah, I totally don't know what you're doing. He knows real quick. Because especially whenever he gets fired, because he asks questions that are a little too close to home, it's like, this guy knows exactly what's going on. He does. He's figured it all out. He knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And I will say, I think it wouldn't be too hard for a few people, especially some detectives and or some people with time asking some questions, to figure it out based on just timing of Bruce Wayne's back, because that's going to be a big business thing in the business world. Whenever all of a sudden the company's, quote-unquote head shows back up as it's being sold publicly, and then within, a few days, few weeks, Batman shows up. Just kind of timing-wise, you can at least suspect it, right? But overall, fantastic film. Great character. Why is it so good? Well, Christopher Nolan's a great director. He's a great storyteller. He knows how to use music for dramatic effect, and wow, he does. But I think it's also the story of Batman. Why is it so good? Is when it's done simple and right. It's focused in on the fact of loss and pain and hurt. And what is the focal point of his training in this when he meets with the League of Shadows? Is overcoming fear, the hurt, the pain, the loss. The getting to the point where you understand that fear can motivate you, pain can motivate you, and not just destroy you. It's like we're just getting to the heart of character. That's big. Well, let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of Batman Begins? Is it still one of your favorites? I mean, let's get real. It and The Dark Knight are probably the best Batman movies we've ever actually gotten, other than clearly Batman and Robin. Because Batman and Robin's the best. If you haven't seen it, go watch my other video about Batman and Robin, because then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, I've been Cody from The Keepers of Nerdom. Like, share, and subscribe. Take care, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye, y'all.